So with that, let us talk about authentication. I said in most places to get onto a wireless network, you have to be authenticated. How can we do that? There is 4 different things I want to talk about here, with one strong message in the end that it's only one of them which is really scalable and what we should do. There's MAC address restrictions, there's passwords, or more correctly, pre-shared key authentication, there's captive portals, and there's 802.1x. Let's look through them one by one. MAC address restriction gives access to the network based on the device MAC address. This is not recommended for several reasons. I can spoof it. If I find out about it, I can actually listen into wireless networks and record what MAC addresses I can see on the network, and I can just spoof one of them and I'm on the network. It's also next to impossible to scale this for large organizations. Remember, keeping track of thousands of user devices. Whenever somebody gets a new phone or laptop, they would have to come to a help desk and register their new MAC address and stuff. It just doesn't scale properly. So the summary is it's not suitable for real large size organization access control. Pre-shared keys, 1 password for all. We all know it for conferences, for classes. We write down the password on the wall, and the truth is once you've written it down, everybody has it. If I do that in universities, and maybe my intention is to use this password only for this room or stuff, but people will pass it on, people will copy it, people might even see it from outside, not even being part of the class. It's almost no difference to having an unprotected network, because if you have a password and you share it, everybody has it. And then you might as well have an open network. So not recommended either. The only recommended scalable authentication approach is what we call 802.1x or WPA2 enterprise authentication. The way this works is that the client device has a client which can understand 802.1x, it can negotiate, it can authenticate with a backend system, and that's typically a Radius server which handles the authentication request. This Radius server will have to talk to a backend, some form of user database that tells the Radius server whether we know such a user and we have a correct password and certificate and so forth. So this already names a requirement, which is we need a valid user database. Now, hopefully your organization has one such databases, but it's far from trivial. Many places don't have that one. Or they have it, but it's not updated, or they have several ones, especially smaller campuses and organizations often keep user databases in just spreadsheets, sometimes even in written form, or if it's online somewhere, it's not necessarily updated. So this can be a challenge, but it's an absolute requirement for doing this kind of authentication. Technically, it would look like that the Radius authentication server that I mentioned will be somewhere on the core network. The access points, again, take a pretty minimal role here. As I said earlier, we don't want to give all that much functionality to the access point. They should really only pass things through. In this field, in the authentication bit, the access point receives the request, knows which Radius server to ask. That's something we have to configure access points to do. In managed networks, of course, that's a central setting for all access points. So they'll be asking the Radius server, which is somewhere in the core server infrastructure, which then answers back and tells the access point, yes, I can find that user. Please authenticate him. There is no modern hardware that doesn't support this. You might find very old equipment, but you would have to go quite a few years back to find devices that cannot do this. Again, make user surveys, find out what your users are using. I would say it's not much of an issue anymore. But of course, double check if you have old machines, old hardware and software. Double check if all of your clients can do this. A side aspect of authentication, we want authentication for many reasons. One is to manage security on a network, to give people access to the resources they should have access to, but nothing else. There is a side effect which might be interesting, which is on a per user basis and also on a per group basis, for example, staff, students. I can, of course, also use this to manage bandwidth, data usage per user. I can set quota, I can throttle, I can set limits. The same remark I made earlier remains that networks are meant to be used. Don't throttle if it's not necessary, or think of other ways of doing that, because this is, of course, management overhead. One more thing to take care of. eduroam, for all of this, the whole authentication 802.1x that's at the core of what eduroam does. And eduroam website offers great user guides for network administrators as well as users, also automatic tools for setting up clients and so forth. So no matter if you choose to have eduroam as your network name, the eduroam resources are absolutely worth checking out, and they will support you in deploying 802.1x authentication.